Hello and welcome everybody to my channel, and this time we'll have a replay analysis of blue-white first control in Pioneer. This is the list, is the same list like in one or two previous videos. If you want to know more about the deck, I highly recommend just googling blue-white first Pioneer, blue-white Skura first. You will find plenty of content on my channel related to this deck. Just to point out a few interesting things is that I decided to play for Mystical Dispute as my cancel of choice because of its high ceiling. I play Omen and not Opt. One, because Opt I think is a bad cantrip, and two, Omen works good with Thirst for Meaning, and obviously the namesake Thirst for Meaning, which is a brainstorm of the format, which I like to call it. And 3 Monastery Mentor, because I never leave my home without 3 or 2 Monastery Mentors, my blue-white sideboard. Actually, whatever the format, I think, if Mentor's legal in it. So that would be about it. Obviously, the description and deck list will be in the YouTube description box. And please remember, if you want to support my channel, it's always good to subscribe, like, comment, share. All these things help. You can use Islands in Front code for Mana Traders rental service if you want to try this deck out and not buy it right away. And let's get into the match, shall we? Okay, game one. This is my opening hand, and I look at it and I can see that it has all the lands, interaction, some kind of filtering. However, the problem is it doesn't do anything until turn 3, right? It starts interacting turn 3, and that is certainly very bad because I'm on the draw. On the play, you could argue that maybe in the format, like, you don't have much of a good burn matchup game 1, so that's not a bad thing, or something like that. But actually, yeah, I don't think that's the case. Like, it's really not a great hand, and it really banks on Teferi resolving and just plenty of other problems, right? It just doesn't do anything until turn 3 on the draw, which is a very bad thing. So I opt to mulligan again against an unknown opponent for now. This is the 6, and I think that's a beautiful hand. It's interaction, filtration, interaction, Shark Typhoon. Now, pause for a moment and think what you'd put back. You're on the draw against an unknown opponent. Okay? My answer is I put back Shark Typhoon because it has the lowest floor, I think, of the cards here. Okay, let me rephrase that, because obviously it doesn't have lowest floor because it cycles. But my point is that I don't know what I'm playing against, right? If it's a creature deck, which it most likely is, I've got turn to Baffling End, which is interaction, and potentially turn 3 Dispute, which is interaction to interaction, right? Now, if either is dead, right, which is possible, Dispute is never really dead, and Baffling End is like when it's good, it's very good, and I really need it. When it's bad, it's not that bad, because, for example, control decks still play like Uro, right? And I've got Thirst for Meaning to cycle through it. Now, Omen just basically fixes everything else, because it's like, this is for creature matchups mainly, it's for non-creature matchups mainly, and this basically, once I know what I'm playing against, lets me just find more stuff. While this is just basically 2 mana cycle, draw a card, which is not something I like to keep. And so I would bottom a Shark Typhoon. Yes. Okay, so that's exactly what I did. Now, my opponent plays Triumph Pass, so I think, okay, maybe bug Reclamation, maybe like bug like midrange, or like Delirium midrange, something like that. I'm glad I drew Hallowed Fountain, so now I can go Farmland tapped into untapped on the next turns. So that's exactly what I do. Now my opponent plays Grizzly Salvage, so I think, oh, it's some kind of dredge action. But it's weird because my opponent played this, reveal Assassin's Trophy. Would you really play Trophy in a dredge deck? So probably it's like some kind of amalgamation between a dredge deck, a dedicated graveyard deck, and a midrange bug deck. So basically I think, okay, they will be... So basically my mental shortcut is they are a graveyard-centric Uro deck which interacts with me, right? And that's important because, like, if it was back control, I would cut out the graveyard part mostly. If it was dredge, I would cut out the interact with me part, right? But I got both of them here, which means they do both worse. They are not very good at being mid-rangey control-y and very good at being aggressive and graveyard-based. But it means they're a bit more like, they're more in the middle. And it probably means they're less vulnerable to, like, you know, Rip or Grafdigger's Cage, I assume. Okay, I draw the Mystical Dispute, so I can see, okay, there's Uro, so I think it would be great at countering an escaped Uro for just 1 mana. Again, Dispute, mwah, coming in clutch. It surprised me that they didn't ditch Uro there, right? They took Uro, but I guess maybe they've got land heavy hand and just want to do something. So that's what it tells me, they've got land heavy hand anyway. So I think this one I can just play an untapped land and pass to have Omen of the Sea. Now, what I do is opt to play this to have 3rd and 4th land untapped. And I don't think that's actually correct. I think I'd rather have a 2nd land untapped now, 3rd land, and then I don't need a 4th untapped. I really do think that's the case. So I don't think I would have played like that. However, my logic may have been that I've got something for the creature, something for the spells, so I don't know what to look for with Omen. Maybe. So I'm letting Thoughtseize resolve. My opponent Thoughtseizes out a Baffling End. What does it tell me, really? So what it tells me is that they've got some kind of creature they want to protect. But what kind of creature they could have? So probably Uro, right? Which means that was a very good Thoughtseize for me, because I don't care about the resolved Uro. Like my plan A is not to let it resolve. And I've got both disputes to make it not happen. So I really don't care about that. Now they play some kind of Satyr Wayfinder, irrelevant. I can play now untapped land and pass. I think it should have been Glacial Fortress. So as you can see already, basically tiny edges, right? Tiny edges here and there, but we can together see where the tiny edges were lost, or maybe gained. Hopefully some were gained by me. So Thoughtseize, I'm not countering a Thoughtseize. First of all, I can't, and second of all, why would I? Because if they know my hand, so if they intend to take a counter spell, I might as well let them do that and do something else rather than commit my whole turn and lose a counter spell anyway, right? Now they will cast Uro from hand. Okay, I can actually close that. And they can put a 5th land into play. So I assume they might be setting up like pay for dispute type of escape. Okay, so let's see. Omen of the Sea. Much better than opt. Dispute land, I don't want either. I think I want to look for like a Teferi. But I remember I drew a dispute anyway, which is like, Censor. Okay, let's hold up Censor. Now I can hold up Censor plus dispute, right? I don't need to lose life here. I hold up dispute plus Censor. If I have to, I can pop Omen. Scavenging Ooze, I can't counter it, so that resolves. But that doesn't change much really, because I'm not a graveyard deck. So Ooze is irrelevant. Now I can actually use Omen, which is again showing how how powerful Omen is, right? Opt would look at 2 cards, and Omen now looks at literally 5. A Typhoon, so I could take it to have it a hard cast, but the problem is that I would need to also take the island to have 6 lands. So it commits me to having basically blank 2 draw steps, right? And living with this interaction. And I'd rather draw something a bit more impactful. A Supreme Verdict, 5 mana Teferi, 3 mana Teferi, another Omen. So I just bottom both of them, play land and pass. Now I play untapped land to be able to go Censor Hardcast Dispute, because they might play something onto Hardcast Dispute. Now they're Uroing through a Dispute. Now they know I've got 1. So I will still Dispute Uro. Now the real question is, do I censor it or do I dispute it? But the thing is, my opponent has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana and still turns to go. So I assume I will not be able to really convert a dispute because they would have to play really expensive spells. So I think I'd rather commit my dispute here and then cycle Censor to find more action. And that's exactly what I do. But if I know that's what I'm going to do, and I know that's what I'm going to do, I could have just censored in response and see what I would draw. Okay, I draw a Seal Away. Do I Seal Away now? I know I leave Seal Away for the Uro because they've got 2 cards in hand, no real pressure. I can just wait, let them draw with Uro, let them attack once, and just get rid of it. Now Dig is obviously a great draw. I hope to do it main phase. I don't. Okay, I don't. Because I could have done that main phase to potentially find a Teferi time Raveler. But actually, no, actually makes sense not to do it, because I would what? Bounce, ooze, and die, and make it die to Site Wayfinder. So yeah. And if I uptick it, I still need to find removal. So maybe actually not doing it then is a good play. Now my opponent passes the turn, not escaping Uro, which is weird, but I'll take it. And I think I will just full cost dig, because graveyard is a resource, especially game 1 with like Elspeth in my deck. So let's look at these cards. And again, I highly suggest you pause the video, think what you'd do. Just pause it, think. What I think I'm going to do is take a Teferi and a Supreme Verdict, 2 most impactful spells. Or take a Teferi and take like Omen of the Sea, because I could go Teferi plus, seal away this, they will have to Uro, and then I can tuck Uro with Teferi. So I think I would do Teferi and Omen of the Sea, now thinking about it. I take the safer play, let's say, with Supreme Verdict, which is fine, I guess. Now I can only assume I will play a Teferi plus. My opponent passed the turn holding up it to extinction, that's fine. A Thoughtseize, so I might as well. I don't think I had to do it, but I did it. Taking the Verdict. My opponent escapes Uro, plays Satyr, no attacks. I rip a Supreme Verdict, so I just bash them for 2 and Verdict it away. Now they can replay Uro again. So that's actually really annoying. But they've got no gas in tank, it seems. Now they're tapping all the mana. And I'm really scared. And that's Emrakul. Now it doesn't matter. I just draw blanks, and they as my turn, they just play Fortress, play seal away, and basically I need to draw like a 5 fairy or Teferi, just whatever, to get rid of it, and I draw a land, which makes me concede the game. That will be game 1. So what the takeaways? They are very much a graveyard deck. They use a Set Wayfinder, Grizzly Salvage, Emrakul. They've got Delirium action. I assume if they've got Emrakul, they also have got Traverse the Overworld. They've got Uro, but they also have got interaction, right? From a Planeswalkers, for example. Okay, so basically, as I assumed at the beginning of the game, it's a graveyard-based deck which interacts with me. Now let's see what we do about it. Game 2. Okay, so now we're playing game 2. And let's see how I sideboarded. So as you can see, I sided out all the removal, right? I sided all that on the Typhoons, the Elspeth and Diggs. So as you can assume, I sided in a 3 rip, as you probably remember from the deck list at the beginning. I can maybe actually pop up the deck list again right now. Again, this is the deck list. So I sided in 3 Rest in Pieces, obviously. 3 Mentor, because they are interactive, but they will certainly cut like pushes, and they still leave trophies and it to extinction. But something will get trophied or eaten to extinction anyway, right? Because I still have got Teferi, Rest in Peace. Something will get destroyed. So like I might overload. And the thing is that if they don't, because that's not their primary game plan to interact, it takes over completely, right? And because I side in Rip, I side out, as you can see, Diggs and Elspeths. I side in Gust because it tags Escaped Uro, it tags the Assassin's Trophies, it tags Traverse the Ulvenwald and whatever else they might have. And Trawler because it just dominates, you know, it just dominates the battlefields. If I can stabilize somehow, and I am going to, because they've got like, you know, Censor, Teferi, a Verdict, Mentor, even to just play and to chump a bit, Rip to slow them down. A Troll is something they can't get through, really. Do I want to veto? I don't think I do, because I'm mostly scared of Uro and like creature types of stuff, like ooze maybe. Not really spells, because what spells? I haven't seen any. And siding in Veto to battle like their trophies doesn't make sense, because I've sided Gust already. And I don't want to play so much against their interaction. I don't want to warp my game plan around their interaction against my game plan. I want to side against the game plan. So I decided to side out for all these slots at Typhoons, which are generally low impact, and instead of it being like a 6-drop which dominates, I've got Trawler, which is a 6-drop that dominates and stabilizes. And this, because what does it do? Because except outside of Uro, they don't really have threats, it seems. But for Uro, I've got Censor, Dispute, Rest in Peace, right? So like, how much do I want? And Seal Away and Baffling End don't accomplish what I want to accomplish, because I've got other things to do which are more efficient. Had I seen like Jace's Prodigy, or maybe like, I don't know, Lotleth Troll, or I don't know what, maybe, but I didn't. Now, I see this opening hand, it looks brilliant because it's like interaction, mentor, endgame, but the mana is awkward. So let's think if I can keep this hand and with mana in mind. So I want to begin with a castle, certainly, because if I draw a basic, then any basic turns off Glacial Fortress, but not the castles. So I'd rather lead with, let's say, so I'm more likely to draw an island than a plains. So I think I will play Castle Ardenvale, because then if I draw an island, I can play both of them, right? So that's something to think about. Now, even if I don't draw a land, let's see if it's functional. Turn 1 Ardenvale, turn 2 nothing, turn 3 I've got Censor / Dispute, but that's probably good enough because they're not rushing, they're not aggroing me, right? I just need to have a good answer at some point. I think that's a keep because of how slow they are. I think I misjudged the first castle to play, and then I'm immediately punished, right? I'm immediately punished. Okay, so I probably play an island. No, I don't. Oh, that's actually fine because, again, there is no 2-drop I really want to counter, realistically. What, Grizzly Salvage or Satyr? I don't want to counter these things. Anyway, so they take a Triumph. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Okay, so now probably just Island and Mentor, right? That would be the best play. Now, unfortunately, my brain said, oh, you've got 2 of these, like kind of an island, kind of a plains, just play Glacial Fortress. And I didn't really pay attention at that, I remember, and I was very annoyed with myself. But okay, we need to keep rolling, so let's see if that's punished. They play Grizzly Salvage, right? And now they take Uro, so they've got Uro in hand and Triumph in hand. They dished a trophy. Now they do, but again, they're setting up so slow, that's fine. And I will cycle Censor because I will be, the next turn it will still be Monastery Mentor plus Dispute up, and I really want to find a rip, because that's like a GG card. So I really want to dig for it. Now that's a good draw, because now I can go Mentor, hold up Dispute, and then the next turn I can just play Teferi. So let's see what they do. They've got a second Triumph on, okay. Now they play an Uro, which I'm not disputing. I really want to dispute the back half. They don't put land into play. What does it tell us? It obviously tells us they've got like a hand full of spells, which also means I can now safely resolve a Teferi, right? Teferi plus triggers. I drew a plains and a Teferi. I mean, for the draw step and from the Teferi, I've got a Dispute up. They eat it to extinction. That's okay. It drew me a card. It triggered Mentor, and it ate their whole turn, right? Now we can play a land to hold up Dispute and play the Teferi, because I'm afraid of a Dispute. I don't want to just jump Trawler into a Dispute. So let's just play Teferi. They play a Dispute. We play Dispute back. And now both Teferi and Dispute trigger Mentor. So now the triggers go on the stack. Jam, right? Now we don't. I mean, I hope you hold my hand, but we're certainly not passing the turn together. We really know. Pedal to the metal. Now they're thought seizing us, which is irrelevant because they have to deal with the board state, right? Now if they escape Uro, which is something they have to do, again, that's irrelevant. Because now I can go first for meaning into Omen of the Sea, into Tuck your Uro, kill you. But I begin with card selection before I use Teferi, and just see what happens. I see verdict, don't need them. Okay, I can see basically I have won. So I just go first for meaning, triggers, and pass the turn or die trying, they died trying. So first for meaning, Monastery Mentor, really showing us how good they are. And that's wrapping up game 2. So let's see how we can manage to win game 3. Any consideration for the sideboarding? I don't think so. They show me basically the same shell, just they have valid disputes. So nothing really that would warrant a change in my game plan. Let's see game 3. Okay, now let's look at this opening hand on the draw. I think it's... What do you think? What do you think again? Again, keep pausing the video to make your own decision. I think that the Sleeper Keeper, again, they are not very fast. I think turn 2 interaction was fast enough. And then you can go, I've got 2 pieces of interaction. Okay, the Thoughts is away the Verdict. I top deck a Verdict, which is excellent. Not that I need the Verdict, because I don't think I do. Is that they don't know I've got it. Now they play a Jace, which went under my Censor, which is unfortunate. I hadn't seen the card, so no way I could have predicted it. I mean, kind of, but I saw a huge chunk of their deck, both game 1 and 2. Okay, now they're just dumping cards. Now, again, a Rip is the most important card. And I've got Gust as on-stack interaction. So, I can cycle 1 Censor, and the second one to just dig. And unfortunately, I draw the Rip. Now, the question is, do you slam it or not? And before I tell you that if I did, you think I might, but again, sometimes people click and unclick. What could they have? Like a Dispute doesn't change that. Assassin's Trophy? I mean, they could have Assassin's Trophy, but why would they? So that's the thing. Why would they hold up Assassin's Trophy for my turn 3? Because I have no permanence turn 3, and if I've got a Teferi time Raveler, they can't trophy it, right? So maybe you can say, okay, maybe they held it up for a potential Rip, which could be the case. But then they're just ramping us, and otherwise we would have to have a turn that we have Rest in Peace, Hold Up Gust, which is turn 4, which is a turn from now, which is again potentially fine, but I'm positive I might need to use Gust at some other point. So I'm just making them have it, which is I don't think that likely, to be honest. But there is an argument to wait a turn. They cycle, and let's see what they've got. A Questing Beast, okay, so they're going aggro. But now, I can cleanly just go Fortress, Verdict you, and then let's see what happens. Now they play Creature Murderous Rider. Okay, so apparently they had an interactive hand, but kind of like pushy, ridery, and Eat to Extinction-y type of hand, rather than Trophy type of hand. Now I can cycle Farmland, actually main phase, because I could find something. Okay, Veto, that's a nice hand, that's a nice card. So I can just pass now. Now the attack. So now they attack, and because they kind of thought I would pass through attacks, they do it mid-combat. But I will Gust it. They put it on top, obviously. Now it gets worse. Okay, now I'm not so happy really, because I'm passing again. They do the trick again, and I've got nothing. Okay, I'm really annoyed because I really need a good draw now. And they've got what? Rider into Jace. Okay, I'm not countering Jace because I will just Verdict the board away. Now I can both Teferi and Verdict the board away, and now we're talking. Now the thing is that this is the sequencing, because if I lead with Verdict, they could counter the Teferi with Solved Permission. If I do it this way, they can't counter it with a Solved Permission spell. Okay, Trawler. Okay, so now that in my head that's GG. So let's see what happens. I untap, I hold up Dispute, but unfortunately only like I can't counter that. Yeah, so as we predicted, their hand, because they had no proactive play when they led with Jace, right? And then they had the Rider play. I assume they had this kind of hand, but that's fine. That's a 2-for-1. Okay. Now the question is, do you play Trawler or Teferi? I think I'd rather play Teferi. It's more sticky. It's more sticky. I mean, maybe not, because Trawler is hexproofy, but I think it's close actually. But now I draw Teferi. Now I turn off all their interaction. I hold up a Hardcast Dispute. I don't care about Grisly Salvage. I care about what comes out of a Grisly Salvage. They find an Uro and traverse the Ulvenwald. They take Uro into hand instead of immediately escaping it this turn. Again, doesn't matter if they escape it now or later. I've got 2 interaction pieces for it. Don't care about front half. I really don't. They just get 3 life and draw a card. Irrelevant. Draw from Teferi. I plus the other Teferi. just play. I will hold up Fortress in my hand. I don't need like a, another land. And I want to have as many hexproofs as possible, because that's how I'm winning. My opponent escapes Uro now, which I can cleanly dispute. My opponent doesn't concede yet. They traverse, probably for an Emrakul, which they do, but then they just concede the game. The following turn, I would have drawn for the draw step, draw from Teferi, draw from Teferi. So all the triggers on Trawler, attack, another trigger. Now, if I happen to draw off draw step or this, anything like Omen or Thirstful Meaning, they're just absolutely buried, right? I could have just played also another Teferi cycle. So just buried board state wise. So one rip got destroyed, but it slowed them down, and I got to the board efficiently and with powerful spells. And that wraps it up. Please tell me, please tell me in the comment section below, do you want me to come back to replay analyses like how we began, basically, because that's how I began creating video content. And please remember, if you haven't already, please sub to this channel. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers. It will really mean a lot to me. Like, share, comment, and what else can I say? Please remember to hold my hand. Let's pass the turn together, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.